girlies, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Amy and I'm a cruelty-free makeup enthusiast and blogger. Today is a new episode of Makeup Musings. I don't normally do these anymore. I find that they get very little views, so let me know in the comments down below if you still want to hear my thoughts on new makeup releases. I certainly have a lot of thoughts. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the newest thing that I've heard about, and that is the new ColourPop collection. Of course, ColourPop, they're coming out with something once, twice a week now. This is the wine collection. So there's the Wine and Only palette, which is really a deeper, darker kind of burgundy type shades. It's actually quite pretty, I think, especially for the winter time. It's quite beautiful. There looks like there's some liquid liner, Super Shock blushes, Super Shock shadows, dry oil, and a Vino serum boost. That's a lot. It is quite pretty. I actually have no desire to purchase this though. I feel like I have a lot of kind of burgundy or deeper red type shades in my collection, and I don't think I need a full palette of it. Like, I have them here and there kind of sporadically through my collection, but I think I'm pretty good on that. ColourPop needs to take a chill pill. This year more than any year. I know that we've always made fun of them for releasing a lot, but I remember when I first got into ColourPop and they were really just known for their liquid lipsticks and their Super Shock eyeshadows. And I remember making a few purchases and thinking, this is such a great company, and they really are a great company. I have to say that their quality is just top notch, and it's very dependable too. So they're very consistent in the type of quality that they have in their new releases, but it's just too much. Thinking about all the stuff I've purchased just from the fall, Little Ray of Sunshine, and then there's the Hocus Pocus palette, the Child palette, the Dark Blooms palettes. Like, it's so much that I can't think of adding one more thing, because I just want to enjoy the stuff that I have, because I do enjoy them very much. They also put out the Big Poppy collection. In the last video that I did, I called this the I Love It When You Call Me Poppy collection. So I'm thinking Big Poppy, I love it when you call me Poppy. I'm just thinking 90s hip-hop kind of music scene. So I was kind of in the same vein. This is actually really beautiful. It's an all matte orangey type palette. I think it's really beautiful. Part of me really wants this. If I didn't have the Ornate palette that I recently purchased, which isn't necessarily orange, but it's just kind of in that warm tone vein, I would purchase this. I really think that this would have been a beautiful release for the late summer into early fall, which most likely it probably was. I know California was shut down due to COVID, so this is probably just all these releases. That's why there's probably so many in such a short amount of time, but it's way too much. I did want to talk about the new holiday collection from Glamlight. So I picked up their holiday foodie box, which included the pie, and now there's actually a surprise one for the end of the year, and it's the Chocolate Factory one. So it looks very much like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka type thing, and there's a chocolate donut palette. So it's very much neutral themed, and the pie palette was very berry type themed. So I love that they're going with more of these curated kind of colors. I love the highlighting palette. I think that looks super cute. Oh, it's a highlighter and a bronzer, and it looks too like there's some lip products. Now, I already have the hot chocolate lips. I like it very much. So if any of you pick it up, let me know. I'm so curious to see how it performs. I think I'm good on picking up a lot of palettes to the end of the year. I don't think I need this. This is a little bit more neutral toned. I have so many neutrals, but this really is beautiful, and I love their formula. And their prices on these surprise foodie boxes are so reasonable. They're $45 for 7 products, which I think is an amazing deal, and their quality is excellent. So I absolutely love them, and I think this is a really exciting release. Again, not picking it up, but I think it's really, really fun. So some of the things I'm talking about aren't necessarily new, because things move so quickly in this makeup world, and I don't do many of these videos, so there's going to be kind of a lot of backdated stuff. One of the things I did want to talk about is the Raw Beauty Christie palette with ColourPop. I love the shades in this so much. I love that it's inspired by the PNW. It's a beautiful area. My brother lived out in Tigard, I think it's called, in Oregon, when he was stationed out there in the Navy, and I got to visit him, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful area. He took me to Multnomah Falls, so this kind of immediately made me think of that. Love the shades. I did purchase this. I've already posted a look on my Instagram, so you can check that out at Compassionate Chic, and I just think it's a beautiful earthy tone palette. Love that it's mostly mattes with just the 2 shimmers in it. I do have to say that the more I look at it though, I find that there are very similar shades in my Subculture palette and then in my, what was it called from Aether Beauty? The Joshua Tree palette. So there's very similar shades in there, which I then realized that I duped myself because I'm kind of drawn to these type of shades anyway, but it's beautiful. I'm so happy for Christy. She's had such a wonderful year. I know she had the collab with Pure that I never got my hands on. That is okay. And I know she had her baby boy too. So not that she's watching, but congratulations, Christy. So happy for you. I am such a big fan and I can't wait to see what 2021 brings for you. Something I ended up picking up is the Starry Night palette from Storybook Cosmetics. I have been wanting this. They've been teasing this since 2018, and they take so long to put out products. I'm talking about forever, and I know I've mentioned this in other videos because I'm a member of their like book club that turned into really a yearly book club when it was supposed to originally be kind of like a monthly or seasonally book club, and the quality is really, really nice. They just take forever from concept to production to actually getting the product out there for sale. I don't really know what takes too long because most everything is made in America. I know there was that whole thing about BoxyCharm, those palettes that were made in China. It's really no big deal to me. They probably needed something manufactured at a cheaper rate because they had to mass produce those palettes. So whatever, they're a cruelty-free brand regardless, and the quality is very nice. So I do have to say that from what I've tried, everything that they put out I've enjoyed. So those monthly books that I like, they have an excellent liquid matte lipstick formula. I think it's so good, and I wish they had more colors. It feels like there's nothing on your lips, and I've messaged them and said, you need to put out more colors because you're really missing out. I really just don't know what their deal is because there's other indie brands that are run by just one person and they can still put out more product than these ladies when it's 3 of them. So I don't really know what takes so long, but this is beautiful. I've wanted this for so long. I love the color story because they are the exact colors that are used in the famous Van Gogh painting. It is one of my favorite paintings of all time. The shades look gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to this. And there's also a little drawer in it too, which I think is super cute. It is pricey. It's $60, but Merry Christmas to me. Here's a holiday release that I think is super cute. I'm not going to pick it up, but it is from Kylie Cosmetics, and it's the Grinch collection, and I love that it's all the original animated artwork. The color story is actually quite beautiful in the palette, and if you could hear someone playing in the background, it's because my kitten is playing with a toy. So what are you doing, Dahlia? You silly girl. So anyway, I love the packaging of this. I think it's super cute. I love the greens in the palette. The highlighter looks very beautiful. This is a super cute collection. I don't need anything else, but I think it was really well done. Let's talk about another ColourPop thing. This is their holiday collection, and it's the Hello Kitty and Friends one. The colors are adorable. I love Hello Kitty. I think it's super cute, but I do have to admit that honestly, I'm kind of bored with it. It's just like this kind of pinky neutral type palette. The blushes look beautiful. Actually, I would probably use one of those blushes, but the palette not so much. I think it's cute that it says Slay All Day on it and that all her Hello Kitty and friends are all dressed up in winter gear, but I just feel like this is such a cash grab. $16 for a 9-pan palette. I don't know. I know it's probably more because it's licensed, so I'm not that impressed. I just feel like it's plain. Can we talk about how disappointing Alicia Keys' soul care brand is? I love her actually as a musician and as a person. I think she's awesome, but this is so disappointing. I thought it was going to be a full-on skincare line, and what it looks like is a cream, a $30 cream, which is kind of pricey, because I know she was doing this, and I thought she was doing this in collaboration with e.l.f. There's a black obsidian roller that only has one side to it that's $25, and honestly, I got a black obsidian roller for less than that, I think from Fourth Ray Beauty, and it has the dual side, the smaller side to kind of get underneath the eye, and then there's a sage and oat milk candle for $38. That's it. I'm so sorry. I expected more. I expected so much more. And this is such a bummer. Too Faced just dropped a bunch of mini palettes, and I have to say, the only one I'm kind of interested is in That's My Jam. There's some really pretty purples in there and pinks. There's also Let's Play, which is more of a pinky orange neutral. And then there's Light My Fire, which is a bright fiery color story with that orange and the yellow, which has been done before. And then there's Kitty Likes to Scratch, which is just a neutral palette, which I think, I'm going to tell you this. So the mini palettes from Too Faced actually have really good quality. I think sometimes better than the larger palette quality. The Hot Buttered Rum palette remains one of my favorite Too Faced releases. And I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised with some of their holiday releases. I'm actually wearing the Unbearably Glam right now, and I'm surprised at how good it is. Like, it's not the best thing on the market, but I think this look is quite nice. These I feel like are very redundant. The only one, like I said, that I find interesting is That's My Jam. I think that'd be very pretty for springtime, but I do have to admit that I'm like, about these other ones. I do like the concept that they're smaller, but I do also feel like this is kind of a thrown together release. Sugarpill has a new anniversary collection, and then there's this one, and I actually just thought that this was repackaged from the first pill. I have the second capsule collection, the orange one, but this one I thought was the first one, which I think was the pink pill, but apparently this is different. I don't see enough difference in this. I've been watching other people talk about it, and they think kind of similar things that I do. The whole anniversary box is $190, which is a lot. That's a lot to me. I think the packaging is beautiful, but I would not pay that much for, it looks like loose pigments, liquid lipsticks, and lip glosses. Maybe if you're into those really vibrant shades, but for me, I'm like, oh, it's not worth that. I do really like my orange capsule collection, though. I have to say that that's a very beautiful palette. I have another ColourPop palette to talk about. This is the Fade Into Hue palette. Now, do you guys remember Fade Into You, the song? Like, do you remember, like, 90s kids? Oh my gosh, that's what immediately I thought about, actually. Was it Mazzy Star, I think, who made that song? I just remember that girl, like, kind of singing with her arms behind her back, and anyway, that was a jam. But this is a really beautiful rainbow palette. I do like that each column does actually have a variation of those colors, and that it's not just mishmash. It is in an order from light to dark, but I have to say, it's just too much for me. I already have rainbow palettes. I have too many rainbow palettes now. I want to say I have around 3, especially since I started getting into Glamlight. I kind of feel like I'm all set in that realm, but it is a beautiful palette. It's $23.80. Oh, standard price is $34. It's kind of pricey for ColourPop. I know it's a bigger palette, but I gotta say, it's just too much. One thing I wanted to buy so bad, and I didn't, are the Melt palettes with the Beetlejuice collection. I think this is so much fun. I know that they probably wanted to put this out during Halloween, and they probably couldn't because of COVID and everything and all the delays. I love the attention to detail, especially in the color stories and the imprints, but to be honest with you, there's not enough variation of the colors. Like, I love grays. There's some grays in the red palette, but there's not enough variation of the grays and the purples. I kind of have already some purple palettes, so I just felt like I didn't need this, but I think it is really, really beautiful. I know that they also released a mascara along with this, but I have not heard good things about it, so I'm kind of happy I waited on it. I'm not too crazy about it. I think Melt does awesome color stories, and I think this is a great collaboration, but it's just not for me. Oh, Morphe, Morphe, Morphe. Can we talk about the Lisa Frank collection? So, again, I'm a 90s kid. I think kids who were raised in the 80s and 90s absolutely love Lisa Frank. I just remember I wanted a Trapper Keeper so bad, and if you don't know what that is, please Google it. I'm not going to explain it here, but that was like the biggest thing. You were cool if you had a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper, and I love the big, bold, vibrant prints, and they're fun. And I remember when I used to go to Michael's with my mom and the craft store, we would go get a bunch of Lisa Frank stuff, and I would get those markers and there would be these kind of like felty, oh, what were they, posters where you can draw in or color in, and then you'd have a vibrant, I don't know, dolphin or some other kind of large creature like a tiger. So to me, when I originally saw this, I went, oh my God, it's Lisa Frank. The problem is Morphe, this, like when I look at this palette, apparently everyone said that this is a palette that Morphe has previously released, discontinued, and they're now re-releasing in just Lisa Frank packaging. In addition to that, Lisa Frank, I've heard, is not the nicest person. I can't remember the website, but there was a feminist news website that published an article, a very famous article several years ago, and it was called Inside the Rainbow Gulag. And it was all about Lisa Frank and what a nightmare it is to work for her and the company. And I just really, first of all, the fact that they just called it the Rainbow Gulag just gets me. Immediately I start like thinking in my head, like in a Russian accent, like, oh, Minushka, your husband was sent to the Gulag. I digress. I heard with Glamour Dolls, remember that whole fiasco several years ago where Glamour Dolls was supposed to do a collaboration with Lisa Frank and then people paid out a lot of money into it? I think it's really disappointing. I heard that it mostly happened because of Lisa Frank. I still think we should hold Glamour Dolls accountable and give people their money back, but I just heard she's kind of shady McShaderson, so it's pass. Here is actually something that I did purchase a piece of. So as you know, I am a cinephile. I love historical things, and Besame Cosmetics is such a cool historical brand. When they do collaborations with Disney, it's always really special because I know that Gabriela Hernandez goes into the Disney vault and has access to the color palettes that were used, and she's able to replicate everything. So this is the Mary Poppins collection. I think it's so cute. I didn't get anything from the actual Mary Poppins side. I got the little Mrs. Banks set. So the Mrs. Banks set comes with a really pretty light kind of like peachy pink nail polish. They're doing vegan 7 free nail polishes now, which I think is great, and a very pretty lipstick. And because it's Mrs. Banks, you don't see her much through the movie because she's part of the suffragette movement. She's out there protesting to get women the right to vote. So a little fun story time, actually. So the British actress Glynis Johns, who plays Mrs. Banks in Mary Poppins, she lived in Connecticut, where I am from, and back in the 80s, my mom worked for a flower shop at the Danbury Fair Mall, which is a really famous mall that's right on the border of New York, and they're famous for having like really old fairgrounds. I digress, but she worked at a flower shop there, and one time Glynis Johns actually called in and made an order, and my mom recognized her voice right away. My mom had told her over the phone, I just love your work, and Glynis Johns said, oh, thank you, dear. And so I've always loved that story that my mom has told. So little fun fact, super glad to have this set, and I feel like I kind of have a part of her in that way. I do want to talk about Manny MUA's new palette. I think this is really beautiful. So this is the Eternal Eclipse palette. It's all cooler tones and blues, and the middle is more neutrals. I think this is quite beautiful. The packaging almost got me. I wanted to buy this so bad, and I said, no, stop buying stuff. But I wanted to buy this really bad. I did get the brushes because they look like Wayne Goss dupes, but they're cruelty-free. I know Wayne Goss says his brushes are cruelty-free, but when there's natural hair and they're supposed to be cruelty-free, I just don't buy it. But these are synthetic, so I'm really looking forward to trying these. I think it's a gorgeous collection. Again, Manny just knocks it out of the park with the whole aesthetic. It's so beautiful. So I'm looking forward to seeing what people have to say about this palette because it's quite pretty. Huda Beauty's Naughty Nude palette. When I first saw this, I thought, you know what, this is actually really pretty. The colors are pretty. I think it's interesting that she has these kind of swirly new textures and colors. And then I saw the shade Slippery. And I know a lot of people have had the same reaction, but I really feel like it's the most grotesque thing in a palette I think I've ever seen that like purposely has been put in, because it does look like a petri dish. It looks like a bunch of bacteria in a petri dish, and I don't understand it. So in the promo videos, it's much more bubbly and there's the shades across the board. But in everyone else's pictures, it looks pretty clear, like you could see through to the pan, and it's like this gelatinous goop over the like these weird bally things, and the gelatinous thing doesn't really do much, just makes it kind of like smooth and kind of slippery, just like the shade says, and the color is in those little bulbous things. I just can't, this episode, you know what I'm going to call this episode? I'm going to call it Petri Dishes and Rainbow Gulag. I'm in a sassy mood today. I'm sorry. So Nabla has a very new, pretty, cooler tone palette called Side by Side. It's not completely cool tone, but it's mostly cooler tones. I realized it looks just like the Sultry palette, which I finally picked up. If you guys followed me a year ago, I found it at like a TJ Maxx, and then when I did my eyeshadow palette collection, people told me that it was a fake. And I'm like, how is this possible? But someone must have done something. And anyway, that was disappointing. But they re-released them in these really pretty gift sets, which come in these pretty pink boxes that you can see behind me. And so I ended up finally getting it for myself. So if I had not just bought the Sultry palette, I probably would have picked this one up. But it is very pretty, but they're just too close in my opinion, in kind of tones and shades. So that is that, but I think it's really beautiful and I'm so happy for them, and they're doing so well this year, and Nabla is just awesome. They're a great brand. All right, everyone, that was it. Thank you so much for joining me. I know some things weren't brand new, but again, if you want to keep hearing my makeup musings with a little bit of humor thrown into it, then let me know in the comments down below. If you made it this far, please remember to comment down a little peach emoji in the comments because you are sweet as a peach. And yeah, give me a follow on Instagram. I'm trying to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram and 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So I would greatly appreciate it if you rang that bell and gave a like and a subscribe. And until next time, remember to stay compassionate and chic. Bye!